This week on CTV, we will be bringing you updates on the new recycling policies in Fort Collins.
Then we will take a look at the CSU 2019 Annual Crime Report.
Lastly, we will bring you updates on all the changes coming to the Lory Student Center food court. Good evening, Rams. I'm Jake Oskveric.
And I'm Delaney Allen. You know, Jake, based on the release of the 2019 Annual Safety Report from CSU, it seems like crime is largely on the decrease, but compared to last year, it is important to note that not all crimes are reported to the police. CSU's Annual Safety Report was released earlier this month. The safety report provides information on the prevalence of crimes across campus. Some crimes, however, specifically gender-based violent crimes, are known to be significantly underreported to authorities.
The safety report specifically provides information about crime that students report to authorities. There is a significant category of crime that goes underreported and unreported to campus officials, and those crimes are related to gender-based violence. So things like sexual assault, intimate partner abuse, and stalking are the most underreported crimes, both on campus as well as in the community. Victims are really hesitant when they experience these crimes to report them for a variety of reasons. We have some pretty great resources on our campus that are there specifically for people who are survivors of these crimes, as well as people who are in their support structure, so family and friends who have somebody who have experienced one of these crimes. Our Women and Gender Advocacy Center is a tremendous resource for folks who experience these crimes. The Victim Assistance Team is sort of a really unique campus resource because it's a campus resource that provides victim advocates for students who experience these crimes, and it's a tremendous resource for students on our campus. The data that's in the safety report is really, really useful information because it provides us with a picture of what crimes are happening on campus, but we absolutely have to remember that so many of those crimes are underreported, and that is a particular category of crime that is really underreported, and that's interpersonal violence. As a campus community, we can actually do a better job supporting survivors of these crimes by educating ourselves, which will provide a greater space for people who experience these crimes to feel comfortable, if they want to, coming forward to report that this is something that they've experienced.
The safety report is available online at safetyreport.colostate.edu. On-campus resources for victims of sexual violence include the Women and Gender Advocacy Center and the Victim Assistance Team hotline.
A Fort Collins woman who was arrested by an off-duty officer near CSU in 2017 is suing the city and the officer, alleging excessive force and police inaction. A lawsuit was officially filed on behalf of Kimberly Chancellor in District Court on the 4th of October against Officer Steven Sparacio. Sparacio was said to have been in street clothes heading to assignment when he saw Chancellor speeding while driving. He followed her until she parked her car when he tried to make contact with her. Chancellor was unresponsive to Sparacio's attempt to make contact and began to leave the scene when Sparacio physically took her into custody. A video captured by a bystander shows the officer interacting with Chancellor and pinning her to the ground. Both an internal investigation by Fort Collins Police and the Citizen Review Board determined Sparacio violated policy, but did not agree one way or the other whether or not he used violent force. We will have more information on this trial as it develops.
In a previous case of auto collision that occurred in early September, resulting in the deaths of a motorcyclist and his passenger, a mother of 8 recently just saw new developments. Larimer County Coroner's Office discovered in a recent toxicology test. The driver of the motorcycle, 30-year-old Brent Machado, was intoxicated during the time of the accident. Machado was said to have a blood alcohol content level of 0.104 when he lost control of his motorcycle going around the corner on Highway 14 in the Poudre Canyon. It is illegal to operate a vehicle with a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or higher, according to law. The passenger, Jamie Allen, had no toxicology tests performed on her due to the length of her stay in the hospital before she passed. She was 40 years old and had 8 children.
The weekend brought more news regarding traffic accidents and collisions. This time, a pedestrian was killed crossing Harmony Road at 8:45 at night on Friday. The accident occurred around the 200 block of West Harmony Road when a westbound Toyota minivan struck and killed a pedestrian not using a crosswalk. The pedestrian was transported to Medical Center of the Rockies, where he was later pronounced dead. His identity remains unknown at this time. The driver was uninjured during the collision. Westbound Harmony was closed for several hours following the accident. Our collision reconstruction team is working diligently to determine what led to this tragic outcome, said Assistant Chief Tim Doran of Fort Collins Police. Speed and alcohol did not appear to be factors, according to a news release.
The Lory Student Center on the CSU campus will be getting a new restaurant in the building's popular food court that is heavily utilized by staff and students. Following the closing of Carl's Jr., Freddy's Frozen Custard will be opening a location in the place of Carl's Jr. Currently, the closest Freddy's to CSU is located just east off I-25 off Harmony Road in Timnath. Bringing in Freddy's is not the first change that has been made at the Lory Student Center this year. Following the move of Fast Print and First National Bank and the opening of the new Canvas Credit Union, Freddy's will join the new 50/30 Elevated Eats as the new place to get food on campus.
Fort Collins has recently changed their regulations on what can and cannot be recycled, specifying exactly what materials are actually able to be recycled.
The city of Fort Collins has recently changed their regulations surrounding what is and isn't able to be recycled. These changes come during a worldwide push to quell single-use plastic usage.
So we're talking about the flimsiest of plastics. It's things like berry boxes and party cups and solo cups. The kind of container that you might get a deli sandwich in, we call them a clamshell.
These changes do not only apply to plastic recyclables, however. Certain papers are also a concern.
We're also worried about some of the paper grades. So, paper has been almost one of the most, bedrock kind of materials in the recycling stream. We call it mixed paper when you combine things like newspaper and junk mail and magazines, things like that.
Today, people are urged to take precursory steps to recycling.
It's important, to buy things in bulk. It's important to refuse something like a clamshell box, a deli box. Maybe you take your own container for your to-go food, or maybe when you leave a restaurant, instead of getting a styrofoam box, maybe you've brought, sort of that Tupperware kind of thing, or ask to have it wrapped in tinfoil, because when you get home, the tinfoil can be recycled.
For further information on recycling rules here in Fort Collins, contact the Fort Collins Recycling Department at 970-221-6600.
Because of the constantly rising price of operating costs, Fort Collins residents could see a spike in their electricity bill again. The 5% increase residents saw in 2018 could be followed by another 5% increase in 2019, raising the average monthly bill $3.73 to a total of $78.37 a month. Today, City Council would be considering a package of ordinances setting utility rates for 2020. If approved, customers will also see a slight spike in their stormwater rates of 2%, increasing the average monthly bill by $4.03 every month. Overall, increases in electric rates for commercial developers would range from 4.4% for 0.6%, depending on rate class. We will have more information on this and the results of the City Council vote as it develops.
One of Fort Collins' most nationally recognized news stories since the turn of the century turns 10 years old today. On this day in 2009, the nation was stunned as camera crews captured a hot air balloon heading east across Colorado. Thought to be in the balloon was 6-year-old Falcon Henny of Fort Collins. Henny was said to have accidentally set the balloon in his parents' backyard into flight and was believed to be in it during the duration of its 90-minute flight. When the balloon landed, Henny was nowhere to be found until being located in the family's garage attic later that afternoon. After letting on during a TV interview that the whole thing may have been a hoax, Authorities investigated the situation, finding that to be true. Falcon's parents were going to use their story to help gain publicity on a show they were participating on. The parents were found guilty and ordered to serve jail time and pay a fine.
Well, Rams, that's all we have tonight for news, but stay tuned.
Stay safe out there, Rams. Have a good rest of your week.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. I'm Ren Wadsworth, and this is your weather segment. It finally feels like fall in Fort Collins. The dropping temperatures and shorter days are all signs that colder days are just around the corner. As you can see from the leaves that are scattered around the ground on Colorado State University's campus, the trees are losing their layers while Rams on campus are only adding layers to their ensemble as we see coats slowly begin to pop up on students. Moving on to later today and the current temperature. Right now, it's 50 degrees and clear. Moving into your night, you can expect little to no rain and very low winds. Looking at that sunset as it continues to get pushed further and further earlier into the day while it starts at 6:19 tonight. If we take a closer look at the lows for tonight all across the state, we see a little bit of a similar sight as we see in Fort Collins. On the mountain side of the state, we see a lot lower temperatures than we see on the plain side of the state. It's hitting all the way down to 15 in Gunnison, all the way down to 17 in Alamosa. Going down the I-25 corridor, it's going to be 34 degrees in Fort Collins, 39 degrees in Denver, 35 degrees in Colorado Springs, and 30 degrees in Pueblo, which is really cold for Pueblo this time of year. If we move on to tomorrow's forecast, it looks like it's going to be a little bit warmer than it was today with 77 degrees, but there's going to be a lot of cloud coverage, so it's not going to feel as warm as you might expect. There's going to be a slight wind and a slight chance of rain that night. If we move on to tomorrow's forecast for across the state, it's going to look very similar to our forecast for Fort Collins. 77 again in Fort Collins, moving down that I-25 corridor. 79 degrees in Denver, 76 degrees in Colorado Springs, and 79 degrees in Pueblo. Still bringing up that heat in Pueblo. The plain side of the state, again, is going to be a little bit warmer than that rest of the state. If we move on to the 5-day forecast, you're going to see that temperatures are going to begin to rise and then slowly fall as you go into the week. Once again, tomorrow's going to be 77 degrees with a lot of cloud coverage. As you go into your week, expect it to be warm and sunny, but there's going to be some cloud coverage as you continue through your week. There's going to be a 1-degree spike on Thursday, 78 degrees, super sunny that day. But after Thursday, it's going to begin to drop in those temperatures. Friday is going to be 66. Saturday is going to be 67 and sunny, and Sunday it's going to be cold. It's going to be 55 degrees and very cloudy out. So make sure you pull out those coats, Rams. That's all I have for you today, Rams. But stay tuned because right after the break, Sydney Wicker and Ethan Bird will give you the scoop on who is named for the Mountain West All-Conference team from Colorado State University. Stay tuned.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes, but with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect. but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Okay, so we drowned the fire.
Yep.
Stirred it. Drowned it again. And now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
How's it going, Ram fans? And thanks for tuning in to another week of The Red Zone. I'm Ethan Bird.
And I'm Sydney Wicker. With basketball season knocking on the door, predictions for this season are in full swing.
And CSU senior Nico Carvacho was named to the preseason All-Mountain West team. Carvacho became the second player in league history to have 400 rebounds in a single season. The big man had double-doubles in 22 games, and he led the Rams in rebounding in 29 out of 32 games. And to top all that off, he led the nation in rebounds.
And looking at the team, the Rams are predicted to finish 9th by the Mountain West League media. Reigning Mountain West basketball champs Utah State are predicted to finish the season on top again. And looking at the last season, the Rams were able to finish 7th place, but this year the Rams are returning for their starters, including leaders like Carvacho, and they have a young but talented bench.
That they do, and I really do not understand the 7th place placing. I don't think the voters or whoever votes in that is giving the Rams the credit they deserve. They've got a very talented young core in David Roddy and John Tange, 2 freshmen who have a lot of potential and a lot of promise. And of course, they're returning Nico Carvacho.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see how this team does. I don't think they're necessarily going to go all the way in the tournament, but I think a 5th or 6th placing would have been a little bit better for this team.
I absolutely agree. Well, Rams football does not play this week. However, some next-level Rams do. Sydney and I thought we could catch up with some of the guys in the NFL. And first off, we've got my favorite, Shaq Barrett. Barrett was a Ram from 2011 to 2013, and after playing 4 seasons with the Broncos, he was overlooked for promotion. Now with the Buccaneers, Barrett is tied for the league lead in sacks with 9 and is making a case for Defensive Player of the Year, proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at Cleveland, but we're talking about Hollywood. That's right, Rashad Higgins, a.k.a. Hollywood Higgins, the 2016 5th-round draft pick, was out for 4 weeks on a knee injury. But before the injury, Higgins stacked up 46 receiving yards and finished last season with 572 receiving yards. Now the Browns are on a bye this week, but that just gives Hollywood another week to put in the work to get ready for the Patriots in Week 8.
Bronco fans may have seen a familiar face last Sunday as CSU's own Dalen Dawkins took the field for the Titans. Dawkins played for the Rams from 2015 to 2017 and was a primary rusher for them. However, he's been struggling a little bit for the Titans as he's been jumping between the active roster and the practice squad.
After missing 3 games due to a knee injury, Michael Gallup took the field for the Cowboys this past Sunday. Gallup totaled 48 receiving yards in the loss to the Jets this weekend, but previously this season he had 68 yards right behind top receiver Devin Smith. Gallup has a big game Sunday night against the Eagles.
Olabisi Johnson holds a very fond spot in many Ram fans' hearts and is finding a home with the Minnesota Vikings. Johnson graduated last season and was drafted 247th overall last April. So far this NFL season, Johnson has pulled in 9 receptions for 94 yards.
And finally, another Ram from last year's roster, Preston Williams. So far, Williams had 232 yards on the season and 1 touchdown. But on Sunday's game against Washington, Williams finished with only 31 receiving yards. Williams has been a big target for the Dolphins so far this season.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cindy, it's always so special being able to watch guys, or a lot of the guys that we've been able to see with our own eyes, succeed and fulfill their dreams and really put CSU on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, giving CSU that attention from all these guys coming from there and being proud that they're Rams. I know they're always repping the fact that they're from CSU, so it's really cool to see that.
Absolutely.
But the number 14th ranked CSU volleyball team is heading on the road to take on Boise State and Utah State this week. Looking at the Boise State game, who's on your volleyball watch list?
Well, first off, for Boise, I've got to go with Janelle Wally. The outside hitter is the rock of this Boise State team. She's hitting an impressive 39%, which coincidentally is 39th in the nation.
Yeah, and for the Rams, Olivia Nicholson is their secret weapon. Nicholson hit 50% in the San Diego State game, but on the season has 137 total attacks with 51 kills. She's not one of the top Rams in the headlines, but Nicholson is definitely a player to look out for.
Oh, absolutely, but what I think this Rams team has to look out for the most is the environment they're going into at Boise. I got to catch up with head coach Tom Hilbert after the San Diego State match last week, and he told me that they've got a small gym, but they always pack it, and it's always jumping. So it'll be kind of like a reverse Moby Madness.
Yeah, absolutely. Boise State's always just a tough opponent no matter what sport you're playing them in. So volleyball, you got to expect the same thing. But for the Aggies, so far leading this season, Bailey Downing has carried her team with 106 kills and 335 total attacks. In Utah State's last game against New Mexico, Downing finished with 11 kills. Now the Aggies are 2-16 on the season, but this could easily be a trap game to watch out for.
Absolutely, and who else to hear it from than our friend Admiral Akbar?
It's a trap!
And one of the CSU players who I think will help save them from that trap is freshman defensive specialist Brooke Hudson. And she'll be important for CSU's success. The true freshman has played in 50 of CSU's 57 sets this season and is an important support behind libero Alexa Romeliotis.
Yeah, absolutely. That Utah State game is going to be really interesting. Like we said, it could be a trap game or it could be an easy sweep for the Rams.
Well, it could look a lot like Cal, their only loss this season. Yeah, Cal is ranked 17th right now, but going into that game, everybody was saying Cal is a much worse team. They were the worst team in that tournament that they were playing, and the Rams came out and lost to them. So hopefully that's not something that we see against Utah State.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens this weekend. But finally, it's time for Tell Me I'm Stupid. So, Ethan, am I calling you stupid this week?
Well, Sydney, I really hope you do, because this is something that I'm very passionate about and I read a lot about. So, Sid, tell me I'm stupid, but the Nuggets are going to the finals this year without a doubt.
Well, I had a feeling you were going to ask this question, so I thought I'd switch it up in a new way to tell you if you're stupid or not.
Okay.
So, you're stupid.
Okay.
That's my response for you.
Okay, so you think I'm stupid when the Nuggets have the best center in the league, Nikola Jokic. That's not a hot take. Nobody can tell me I'm stupid about that. If you think I'm stupid, never watch basketball again. And then you have Jamal Murray, the point guard. He has all-star potential this year. He's gotten better every year. And then Gary Harris, he's coming into his own, had kind of a low season last year, but he's already looking better in preseason. You have Mason Plumlee, Paul Millsap, two veteran guys who can lead the front court. And then the deepest bench in the NBA in Monte Morris, Malik Beasley, Juancho Hernan Gomez, and possibly Bol Bol. So how can you tell me I'm stupid when you've got the deepest team in the NBA right there?
You might have the deepest team, but you have one of the youngest teams in the NBA, and I think that's something that you have to watch out for. Their health is everything that they have to rely on. If they have unhealthy guys, then they're not going to have the productive season that you're hoping for, because you're relying on all those guys to get through the season and be healthy, and that's where they struggled at last year. They're going to have a great season, and I agree with you there, but they're not going to go to the finals this year. They still have so much to work on before they get there.
Well, I disagree with you when it comes to health. Last year, the Nuggets, they lost Gary Harris for a long time. They lost Paul Millsap for a long time. They were the leading team in games missed due to injury. However, they still, with their age, they still ended up the second-ranked team in the West and made it to a Game 7 in the second round of the playoffs. So I don't really think, in my honest opinion, completely unbiased, completely unbiased and honest opinion.
No,
That's
no,
not
no.
going to be a factor.
You say completely unbiased, but you are a diehard Nuggets fan, so that is completely unfactual. You just lied to everybody.
Oh.
But no, they have to rely on their health. They have to rely on so much, and you have teams like the Lakers that come in stacked and the Clippers. Come on.
Oh, come
They're
on.
not going to win.
Come on. The Lakers have LeBron.
They have
and
LeBron
AD.
James, who's looking
yeah,
for
I mean,
revenge,
those are
and he's
two
gonna
great
bring it.
guys, but they're not that deep. They are not that deep.
They're not that deep.
They're
Are
not
you kidding
nearly
me?
as deep as the Nuggets.
They're
Find me a team that's
experienced
as
and
deep
they're
as the
veterans.
Nuggets. They're experienced and they're veterans.
And they can lead their teams to win. They've done it before. They don't need all the guys to do it.
Well, a team that's even better than them is the Clippers. I mean, LA, I'm not even worried about the Lakers. The Clippers are the only competition for the Nuggets in the West, and even then, they're the deeper team. So.
Well, I'm sure we could go on this for quite some time, Ethan.
We
But the
could.
Nuggets are not going to the finals, so that's case closed.
All right, whatever. Rams, that is all the time that we have for this week. But to stay updated on sports throughout the week, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at sports_CTV. I'm Ethan Bird.
And I'm Sydney Wicker. Stay tuned because Janae Hancock is hitting the ice to tell you about the figure skating team and how they're trying to raise money for nationals. Entertainment is coming up next.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
What's going on, Rams, and welcome back. My name is Janae Hancock, and as always, I am here to give you the 411 on entertainment every Tuesday night. So without further ado, here's everything you need to know this week. The CSU figure skating team needs your help. With the goal to make it to nationals, the team is hosting an event where all of the profits will go to helping them get there. So a night of skating is coming to the Epic Ice Rink here in Fort Collins. Thanks to CSU Figure Skating, this event will be held October 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. For more information, visit their Instagram at CSU Figure Skating. October is known for haunted houses and scary movies, but if you're more into the chill vibes like me, this month I learned more about one of the best rated pumpkin patches and corn maze in Fort Collins.
This year marks the 11th annual pumpkin patch for the Bartles Farm. So, the crowd was filled with people of all ages, most who have been there before.
So it's super dog friendly. It's a really relaxed vibe. You get to go pick your own pumpkins, and the people here, the family that owns it, is really, really nice. So we love coming back every year.
There's a lot of fun things to do here, and there's a lot of cool pumpkins too.
It's a great bonding activity to do with your friends or your dorm mates. It's a great way to get to spend time with each other and do something that, people from other places might not have the opportunity to do.
Besides the pumpkins, the Bartles Farm has other attractions people get excited about. But a young trainer comes specifically for the chickens every year.
Hand feed them, and sometimes if I put my hand in a spinning area position kind of thing, the chicken will actually spin around with my hands.
This pumpkin patch is an attraction for many, where families always find a reason to come back for years to come.
And it's outside. And getting outside in the fall can get tricky with our bipolar Colorado weather. So on those nice days, this is a good place to go that's close to campus, that you can get a bit of sunshine.
This was my first time at the pumpkin patch since I was a kid, so it was definitely cool to hear from people of all ages who make this an event an annual tradition. And the time has come. This weekend, the dramatic eyelashes, high heels, and big hair will return to CSU once again. The annual Fall Drag Show will be this Sunday, October 20th. Prism presents the theme, Scream Queers. What a perfect theme for the October month. The special guest from RuPaul's Drag Race is Monet X Change. So it's recommended that you bring your change because although this event is free to the public, all donations will go to the Pride Resource Center. Doors open at 5 and the show starts at 6 in the LSE Grand Ballroom. If you have never been to the CSU Drag Show before, most attendees recommend early arrival because this is a very popular festivity. It's time to highlight some of the biggest stories on social media. So let's get into the T of 3. At number 3 this week, 10 years ago, Jay Sean had the #1 spot on Billboard's Top 100 list with the song Down. If you were active on MySpace or Facebook at this time, you thrived during this time period because of this song. Though this may have been his first and last hit, it's also a catchy song that kept the #1 spot for 7 days. But today, the #1 song on the Top 100 list is still Truth Hurts by Lizzo. For the sixth week in a row and 22nd week on the chart in general, she has definitely bypassed Jay Sean with the amount of weeks she has been on top. Since social media is more powerful now than 10 years ago, don't be confused if you hear this song on your feeds. And at number 2 this week, we have Travis Scott, who injured his knee at the Rolling Loud Festival this past weekend. The rapper was performing his well-known song Butterfly Effect when he jumped and landed badly. And just in case you were wondering, no, Scott did not go rolling down. Surprisingly, he kept performing. According to Entertainment Tonight, Scott later told the audience he may have broken his leg, but the show cannot stop. Kudos to you, Travis, because I do not think the show could go on if I was in your shoes. And at number 1, it's all the talk on Twitter, and I'm sure you heard about it, so let's acknowledge the black hole in the room. The black hole that took over the game Fortnite was actually a genius way to market their now released Chapter 2 update. This black hole was supposed to represent a meteor that hit the virtual world. And let's just say it definitely hit people, but not in a very positive way. Gamers found themselves not able to play this addicting game because of the black hole, and many were very upset, to say the least. Twitter feeds were taken over with GIFs of frustration because of the long wait to get the game up and running again. Well, Fortnite gamers, it was nice to have you back in the real world for once, but now the game is officially back in action as of today. The black hole is over. Well, Rams, that's all I have for you all tonight. Make sure to tune in to Ram Life Entertainment tomorrow. As for me, I will be back next Tuesday with more entertainment. Good night.